Joining me now, Ian Bremmer. He is president and founder of Eurasia Group and G0 Media. What do you make of that phone call from the president?
Well, the Hungarians don't know who J.D. Vance is. He doesn't have name recognition. So if you're going to go and you're going to try to help Orban, you go with the brand recognition you have. And that was the notion of Trump's call. Having said that, on balance, I suspect that this is going to harm more than help. Orban is way underwater right now, primarily because his administration is seen as economically incompetent and full of corruption. These issues really matter domestically. This is not a foreign policy issue primarily in terms of the elections. And the leading candidate, who looks very likely to win this weekend, Peter Magyar, is not from the left at all. He's actually from Orban's own party. He's an economic populist. And he's been traveling the country, getting to know rank and file average Hungarians. Villagers, rural areas, small towns. This is why Orban looks like he's in so much trouble, even though he's been there for 16 years, and he has a lot of control over the media and over the judiciary and over so much of what matters in terms of processing power in that country. I think you'd make a very strong bet that next week we're heading to a new leadership in Hungary.
So what should the average American know about what's at stake for the U.S. in the election of what is, frankly, a small country with a small economy?
The only reason Hungary really matters on the global stage is because Viktor Orban has been the strongest thorn in the side of a coordinated and cohesive European Union. He's very Eurosceptic, even though he accepts billions of dollars in transfer payments from wealthier European countries. He is a strong admirer of Vladimir Putin and has worked to try to limit the amount of support that the Europeans have given to Ukraine, also to water down European sanctions on Russia. Also, the principal trader and investor into Hungary is not the United States. It's actually China. And his relationship with China is also considerably stronger. And in that regard, because Trump is interested in a weaker, more divided European Union, not a Europe that can come together and act in a stronger fashion as a potential counterweight to Trump's own decision-making in the region and more broadly, he's been a supporter of Orban. And that's why he's sending his vice president to go and meet publicly with the leader who is almost certain to be defeated this weekend right before the election. He's trying to put his thumb on the scale, and it's not likely to matter.
So speaking of the folks elsewhere, including our allies, NATO Secretary General, as you know, will be at the White House tomorrow. What do you expect that meeting to be like?
Well, I mean, he is perceived in Europe as carrying a lot of water for the president of the United States. First, because the United States is by far the most powerful military in the world and the biggest contributor to NATO by a large margin. So if you don't curry favor with the American president, whether you like him or not, whether you like his policies or not, you're in a lot of trouble as a NATO ally. So most countries and most leaders appreciate that he's out there taking the flak, being the subservient one to the president so that they don't have to. And he is a capable leader. He used to be the prime minister of the Netherlands. He was quite popular. He lasted there for quite some time, center-right wing party, and pretty moderate in his general orientation on the world. Having said all of that, Europe's orientation to the United States, both through America's pullback in providing any support to Ukraine, no more money, it's all coming from Europe, and then the unilateralism on trying to take Greenland, which didn't work but really upset the European allies, all of the tariffs, which have undermined the trading relationship with them, and now the war in Iran, which Trump referred to them as cowards, said that how dare you not support and engage with me in my war. I'm not going to support you in NATO going forward. the underlying relations among the NATO countries have never been so dysfunctional and weak as they are today. They're truly at their worst moment. And so Mark Rutte his work is really cut out for him. He has a good relationship with Trump, but he's going to have a very hard time making progress in this environment.
Ian Bremmer, always good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on.
Good to see you too.